And then the pressure is going to start coming in, because then they're going to start realizing, okay, this means a lot to a lot of people. And I know these guys are playing at top level teams where there's pressure, but this is a different type of pressure. This is for your country. This is for your nation. This is where you as a kid, and especially this generation, they're thinking of one day, I want to be on the national team. I want to be in the World Cup. I want to play there. Well, now you're there, and you're the host country.
Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen. Volkswagen has long been a supporter of soccer in America and has proudly been a partner of U.S. Soccer for over 5 years.
Welcome into Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen. LD, we have a guest today. I'm super stoked. These are always fun little curveballs. We get to talk to the guests and chit chat. This is a good one, though. I can assure you, this is a pretty fascinating one. You and I were sort of blown away by the stories in this episode.
Yeah, we're really excited. And just so everyone knows, this was filmed a couple weeks ago. We have the fantastic and amazing Cobi Jones joining us in a minute. As always, follow us on social media at Unfiltered Soccer. Make sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube and follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a review. It helps people find us. And you can always email JR at feedback@unfilteredsoccer.com. Without further ado, we welcome in Cobi Jones. CJ, welcome in, man.
Cobi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. I feel special being here with you.
Yeah, this is it's a treat for me, and just even looking at the logo in the background there, how much times have changed the Galaxy and from when you started, and we'll get into some of that. But there's no better time to have you on just as we go into this World Cup and a home World Cup. And there are very few people in this country who know what it's like to play in a home World Cup. So let me get your bio out the way, because this is wild. 3-time World Cup vet, all-time leader in caps with 164, 2-time MLS Cup champ, and 1-time U.S. Men's Player of the Year. What year was that?
Long time ago, 98.
98, okay.
You know what?
Last century.
Yeah, that's right.
It's LD, I know you grew up idolizing Cobi. It's just fascinating. You know, obviously, Cobi, you and I have become friends over the years. And I some of the things that I think about with the 3 World Cups, and, the one that stands out is the all-time cap leader for the U.S. men at 164. I mean, historic and monumental, don't even begin to explain it. And I just think you are, so many people say this, but it's not true. But in this sense, like, we as players, the current men's team that's going to the World Cup this year, we all stand on your shoulders. And it's, you are here as a testament. You're a trailblazer. I think the great crazy thing about you is you started so young on the scene that and you kept yourself fit and healthy, that you've been able to see so many iterations and generations of soccer in this country. And it's really, really a pleasure and honor to have you on.
I appreciate that, man. It does mean a lot, especially coming from you guys. Hearing all that, because as you guys know as well, you don't hear it a lot from people that you respect. You can hear it from just a random Joe Schmo that grabs you on the street, hey, but hearing it from you guys, other players that I respect, people that I respect, that it does mean a lot. So thank you.
Well, one thing, CJ, as I got older in my career, I started to appreciate more and more the guys who came before. And it's one of my beefs with, I'll say the current generation, but I think it's probably every generation does this, is you don't appreciate what came before to get you here. And we were just talking about stories of like the things you saw that we thought we had it bad, right? And we had it tough, and some of the stories, and we'll get into, but part of the reason, and part of the reality of having a career like you is you are going to do something amazing in April, which is you're going to have a statue at Dignity Health Sports Park in your likeness. Can you just, I think we know how you feel about it, but can you just explain? I'm going to be there that day. I can't wait to see it, and just what that means to you.
Well, it's a little surreal, to be quite honest. When you first hear about it, you're all excited, and everything goes, okay, this is great. This is fantastic. And then it kind of wears off, and you think about it, and you're just like, wow, that's going to be there a long time.
Forever. Right.
I mean, that's going to be there when I'm gone. That's still going to be there. You know,
Yeah,
you
that's
start
right.
thinking about all those things and what it means, and for your family. Like I had kids when I was done playing,
Mm.
so for me, this is one of those moments that I feel like I
Yeah.
can share. You know,
Yeah.
they can appreciate it, and their kids can appreciate it. So I'm looking forward to that. But just the idea of having a statue like that, it's difficult to put into words. You know, I'm sure I'll be tongue tied when I actually, finally see the end result. And I'm like everybody else, hoping that it does have a decent likeness. Supposed to be now, but me back in the day.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
A little younger.
that's something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, I to be immortalized like that is special, and you two are. I'm jealous because I don't have a statue. I can't imagine one's coming anytime soon. But that's like that's pretty freaking cool, man. So I'm actually excited to see it whenever the next time I'm there. Awesome.
Well,
CJ,
hopefully you're out there. You got the
okay.
invite, April 26th. Come on out.
Love it. I love it.
There you- I'll
Back
be
back
there.
to the
You
sunshine.
can fly out.
Yeah, for sure.
CJ, I'm actually just curious about this. Do you have first memories of Tim and me coming into camp and what that was? And it's okay. You can be honest.
No, when would that be? Because we didn't play a lot together. So that's like 2001, 2002, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
me.
Tim came in a
For
little
you.
bit, a little bit within
Yeah.
the camp,
Yeah.
and you were kind of like in and out. It's just,
Yep.
and that at that time, we had Friedel and Keller,
Mhm.
and all of that
Mhm.
stuff. So
Miola,
I
yeah.
remember that, and I remember something specific with you, Landon.
Oh God. I shouldn't have asked.
Give it
go
to
Yeah,
on.
us.
I mean, I remember with Landon when you first came in, and we had a lunch or a dinner at Bruce Arena's house.
Oh,
And he
boy.
brought everyone over, and Tim, you can imagine Landon coming in as the young superstar punk. That's
I
like,
know.
oh,
He
I need
witnessed it.
this. And we were sitting around the table, and I remember Landon wanted to tell a joke.
Oh,
So he
geez.
tells a joke with a simple like, I mean, and when you hear this right off the bat, you're gonna go, really? That was your joke? He quieted everyone down. I got a joke.
Oh, no,
And he's like,
Landon.
why was 6 afraid of 7?
He
I
just
just
told
looked
that
at him.
last week.
I was like, because 7, 8, 9, and he's like, he looks at me with an angry face, like I ruined everything. And I was like, dude, everybody here has heard that 1,000 times when they're like 9 years old.
Yeah.
My that's right. My kids think that's funny now.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
did I really do that?
Yeah,
You're
you
kidding.
did.
Yes, you did, and you had a look of just like disgust on your face, and I was
Why
just
did I
looking at you, just like laughing, just going, "This punk, what's he thinking?"
Oh my God, what
It's
an
so
idiot.
funny.
Tim, I apologize.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm used to it. You don't have to apologize. I apologize
You
for
hear
you
it every
every
week.
time we're together. Cobi, we were talking off camera before we went
Mhm.
live, and Landon touched on it. Landon has seen. I certainly have seen. Starting my professional career in '96, or 97. I've seen terrible locker rooms and stadiums, and I've saw primitive soccer. But going back to when I watched you, I was a fan. I was a college soccer fan because I was the best of the best. Because pre-1990 we hadn't qualified for a World Cup in forever, and so I'm watching you at UCLA. I'm a Rutgers soccer fan. Watching you sort of grow through that, and then into the Olympic team. But then that's sort of you're now on the cusp of the 1994 World Cup. Like, it's so easy to get excited about this World Cup, and we should, but sort of take us back to you guys were nobodies, but really you're trying to be somebody. And yourself and Alexi and Tony were sort of on the tip of everybody's tongue. And what's that like? Like, what's the build up to the 94 World Cup like? Just sort of give us a glimpse into what was the build up to that? The camps, the pressure, the hopes. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, it was unprecedented. First off, that's what people have to understand. What
Right.
the national team and U.S. soccer is like now is completely different to what it was like then.
Okay.
You had this feel of it was like a small, just like underground organization trying to figure things out. Back in the day. My process of getting into that 94 World Cup, it actually stems from like you said, Tim, from UCLA to the Olympic team to the national team. So when I was at UCLA at that time, they said, okay, you've got to leave school early to prep for the Olympics in '92 in Barcelona. So all the players had to drop out of school.
They forced you to drop out of school.
No, you're never forced. But
no, but I mean, if you want to play for the Olympic team, But then that means like your scholarship, all that, like out the window.
Yeah.
Jeez,
and you can imagine coaches back in that day were just playing with the scholarships as they do now. Like, well, if he's leaving at this time, I can give it to somebody else. All that stuff. But we can get into that another time. But so you leave the school early. And then in January, we did like 6 months of just traveling nonstop and playing games, South America, Europe, all over the place, until we finally, fast forward to the Olympics in Barcelona, which I think one of the best things is, what the mascot was in Barcelona?
What?
No.
It was like a dog. You know what its name was?
What?
Cobi. C-O-B-I. The exact same way. Yeah.
No
it was
way.
the weirdest thing, right?
Really?
It was cool. meant to be. So played in that and with the idea of, okay, I'm going to go back to school, right? And then finish up. But then right after the Olympics, the national team comes calling and saying, we want you to be a part of the national team camp in Mission Viejo, which was basically a 1.5-year process of being down and prepping, for the World Cup. So that meant I couldn't go back to school.
Sure.
I would go into that camp. And imagine all those college guys that you were talking about coming together with a few, professional players.
Sure.
For we've all been in those camps that last a week, right? Or 2 weeks.
It's the worst.
Those January camps that last a month, and you're just like, oh, this is way too long.
So Cobi, you're a 1.5 years. You're at Mission Viejo. You're staying where? What are the accommodations like? You taking a bus, vans to training? What are you doing?
Yeah. Okay. So there was a invite with a tryout type of period where we're all in the hotels.
Okay.
We're just staying at like the Holiday Inn, that is down there.
Yeah.
Going in and out. We are driving to the field when we could. At the very beginning of when we first got in there, it was during, and you guys might remember, Landon, you probably do that El Nino during that time that came in where it rained for like a 1.5 months straight. And so they weren't quite done with the field. So it was still muddied and not ready. So we couldn't be on it. So what does Bora Milutinovic say? Well, we're going to the beach. And for a 1.5 months, all we did was run.
Shut up.
All we did was run. And I'll tell you how bad it was. All this running was, a lot of the guys started getting issues because, the beach is always at a slope.
You're right.
So your back was all jacked. And a lot of players had, you think doggy back is bad. Imagine beach back where you're 1.5 months of just running. That's all we did. Different types of runs. It was incredible.
Dude, if when we go to Cabo, the beach is like pretty slanted. And if I walk halfway down the beach, I'm like, my back is killing me on one side. I can't imagine.
You know what the problem is, Cobi? He goes to Cabo a lot. A lot.
There it is.
A lot of beach walks.
Okay, so CJ, take us through what these players now are going to be feeling, what it's like going into a home where I'm getting goosebumps as I talk about it. And you guys were here in the country, so you could feel the swell. A lot of them play overseas, and so they're not really feeling it yet. What are they going to be feeling as they get into camp, as they start seeing their name everywhere, billboards, magazines, all over social media, and then leading into like those first training sessions before the first game and the first game?
Yeah, first they're going to feel the excitement. Once they get back here and people are actually going to start talking to them here in the US, where it's not as prevalent, in Europe, but you're going to have American fans talking about them, coming up to them, doing the interviews. That's going to be the excitement of it. Then it's going to be a little bit overwhelming as it's going to continue, just all the days leading up. And then the pressure is going to start coming in because then they're going to start realizing, okay, this means a lot to a lot of people. And I know these guys are playing it top level teams where there's pressure, but this is a different type of pressure. This is for your country. This is for your nation. This is where you as a kid, and especially this generation, they're thinking of one day, I want to be on the national team. I want to be in the World Cup. I want to play there. Well, now you're there and you're the host country. So there's even more pressure, and you want to have a good showing, not only for yourself, but for, the whole country, for your family, for your friends, because everyone's going to be watching.
So that is pressure, and I agree with that. But that's now because of what U.S. soccer has been built on. We understand sort of what that looks like. But take us inside the dressing room in Detroit before the Switzerland game. Like that you don't talk about goosebumps. There it is, just run through my body. Like what you must know as players that there's never been anything like this. This World Cup will be amazing because of other things that have transpired, but you are sitting in that locker room in Detroit. Like, do you remember what that was like?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was something special. And to tell you the truth, it started the day before when Bora brought us all out to the center field with the video, and we're holding hands and just thinking about, he had like the hype video getting us ready for the game. And, you can barely sleep at night, because you're thinking about that first match. I remember being in the locker room, and there was a nervousness and a quietness, but just like, how sometimes they say places have like a sense of danger, about it. Think of it kind of like that. It was just like there was a sense of expectation of danger within the locker room of what could possibly happen for the positive, but also what possibly could go wrong. And you had, players, Eric Ronaldo wasn't feeling well, before that match as well. So it was like, shoot, our striker, what's going on with him? Is he going to be ready? But there is also a sense of that unity, that we all have when we're there as a group. We were the underdogs, and we knew that. And it was also that idea of like, we have nothing to lose. So let's go out there, kick a little butt, and see what happens.
Incredible.
What was when you walked out it was the Silverdome, right?
Yeah.
In Detroit.
Yeah.
When you walked out like for warm up, and then God, I can't get the goosebumps out of my body. I'm just thinking about this. And then like the national anthem, like what was the crowd like? What was that experience like?
You want the truth?
Yeah.
Well, it was hot. First off, it's the first time they did the indoor, stadium.
Right. They didn't know how to cool it
off. It
off.
was hot and a little humid,
Right.
So it was good to warm up, but the crowd was amazing. I mean, after all these times of, playing all these different games and all these big matches where the opponent has, so many more fans than us, to walk out, and you step out and you see that everyone is cheering for you.
Wow.
That everyone was cheering for the US. It was such a switch, and it almost, turn a switch on in everybody's head. And like, man, this is it. This is the moment. You're going through the warm-ups. And I gotta be honest, when you're going through the warm-ups and all you're doing is looking around,
Yeah, of course.
Can't believe it.
Masses of people, just going, wow. And also, which is very important, and this is why I say it is such a different World Cup than anything that happened after, is you realize that you are doing something that hasn't been done before, an event that is being held at a place that's never been before, and you are representing a country that hasn't had the most success at the World Cup. And up until that point, no other host nation had not been out of the first round. So you had that extra pressure. So all those things are running through your mind: the excitement, the pressure, the hope, and also the possible disappointment that that could come with it.
So all that being said, sort of try and dig deep into your memory bank. So there's probably 30 seconds before and a minute after when Aldo steps up to that free kick. What's the thought?
Dude, 30 seconds before, like you're thinking, this is the chance.
Mm.
This is the moment. People have to, if people go back, you have to remember how good of a striker that Eric Ronaldo was,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And
Oh, yeah.
I think, I don't, you know, he has a lot of other things, but I don't think he gets his due on that, where you have to understand how talented he was.
Yeah.
And for him to step up, and when he hit that and it went in, I mean, I'm feeling it again. You know, you guys talk about goosebumps. I'm feeling it again. Just this sense of joy, like everyone just jumping up, the crowd erupting, you know, when he scores the goal. It was just, you know, it's hard to put into words, but it meant so much, you know, to have that goal, first goal for us within the World Cup as well.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got more with Cobi Jones right here on Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen. The Unfiltered Soccer podcast is brought to you by Volkswagen. It's really easy to become a passenger in life.
Take control. Live life in the driver's seat. Learn more at VW.com.
Life. If we're not living it, what are we doing here?
Jump around. Jump up and get down. Jump.
So?
Let's go!
LD, MLS is back.
Yes, it is, my friend, and you know what that means. Saturdays are once again all about soccer.
Walmart is making Saturdays of soccer even more glorious with Walmart Saturday Showdown. From early practices to late-night watch parties.
I was at an amazing event last week opening the MLS season with Walmart. MLS and Walmart are bringing every emotion of the beautiful game to Saturdays. The joy, the nerves, the excitement, and the unforgettable golazos.
Walmart plays on Saturdays.
Who knew? Soccer is not slowing down. It never does. Massive fixtures and knockout clashes that'll leave you on the edge of your seat as we get into the decisive part of the season. The calendar isn't just full, it's absolutely packed with nonstop action. Club or country, every match matters, and you can cash in on all of them with FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5 and score $100 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, one winning $5 bet unlocks $100 in bonus bets. Goal scorer markets where you pick the heroes. Match results where you back the winners. Over-unders where you call the action. Same game parlays where you stack your way to bigger payouts. And so much more winning potential. The matches are coming fast and furious, but this is your moment to get in the game. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app right now and turn every match into your opportunity. Don't just watch the game, win with it. Okay, so then moving forward, take us through. Colombia was sort of one of the dark horse favorites to maybe get through or deep in the tournament, or maybe even win it. I think Pele maybe said he thought they were going to win it. So take us through that match and how that transpired, because that was special.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say a dark horse, you know, they at all. I mean, this was a team that had run through the qualifying process. You know, Valderrama, you know, was just was dictating everything. You know, no one could get the ball off of
Freddie
his
Rincon
feet.
was on the team?
I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
I believe so as well. And that was a battle, man. I mean, that was a battle, you know, the back and forth and trying to trying to get something out of it, you know, at this point, because remember at this point within the game, it's not just that game.
Right.
You're looking at, okay, the result that you had before, what points do you need and who are you playing next?
Sure.
You know, all of those things. So
That's right.
just going through the match, it was kind of like, okay, how do we balance it? How do we balance it out? I mean, Colombia was so talented, you know, just as a group. And for me, the person that I can remember more than anyone else, I think for us was just like in the middle of like the Harksies and everything that they had to do in the midfield to try to shut down their midfield that was so talented, like a Valderrama and stuff. And I give those guys credit. The amount of running that they had to do, it was like a workhorse effort, you know, in the middle of the park.
I'm going to interrupt you. I want you to keep going, but 2 points. I think every big signature win the U.S. has had throughout history and even the agonizingly close defeats, that's been a staple. There's been 3 or 4 guys in midfield that have just couldn't give him the whistle blew, and if you ask them to give more, they couldn't give more. Like, that's been a staple. Striker might have scored, goalkeeper might have played good, but that midfield, that's a staple. And by the way, just as a note, I was how old was I? 15 years old, sitting midway up behind the goal in the Rose Bowl of the
Really?
goal that Marcel Balboa just missed the bicycle kick.
Oh, yes.
I was behind that goal, face painted with, like, I think we were like the US U17 team, shirts off, Carlos Bocanegra, those guys behind the goal. Yeah. So anyway, so keep going, because then the goal eventually goes in.
Yeah, I mean, you had Ernie, coming through big time, getting a goal. I always love remembering that, just because Ernie was my roomie, all the times, as you've probably heard, Landon, over the years. But the big moment that everybody talks about, right, was the own goal. That was, and I will talk about it from the perspective of the moment, right?
Yeah, sure.
Of just seeing that happen, of the ball being played in, and to be honest, a little bit of a hopeful ball, right? And then the mix up between the two Colombian, the keeper and the player, and just, Escobar taps that in, and it goes in. And look, you don't care how it goes in, right?
Sure.
They don't ask
Nope.
how, they ask how many, and you're
Yeah.
just everyone's screaming and yelling, and just, that's like, it was absolutely incredible, for us. Obviously, things afterwards,
Sure,
took a
tragic, yeah.
completely tragic turn. But for us on the field, getting the 2 goals that were needed, getting the 3 points, that was the most important thing.
Yeah.
But after that, I mean, what a sense of relief, because then you start thinking, we have a shot. We have a real shot of going through.
Well, I just remember, and Landon and I, because we've shared so many moments together and come through together, like, we have these iconic moments and these images. But I think about Caligiuri's goal in 1980, whatever that was, 89 in Trinidad. But I also think the indelible image when I close my eyes is you guys in those denim shirts running around the Rose Bowl pitch with flags and elation and smiles. I mean, you talk about, like, in the halls of US soccer, that has to be, like, essentially the top picture. Like, that's what I think about, is that sort of, that celebration, those moments following the game, with just, like, I can almost describe it, Cobi, when I look at still photos, as, like, joy and, oh my God, like, I think the image on so many of your faces was like, what did we just do?
Can't believe this. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head, Tim. I tell you, that's exactly what it was. I mean, we'll be honest, there was shock,
course,
that I mean, and not only for us, but I think for the world. Looking back, just going, wait a second, the U.S. is actually going to go through, that they have a good chance, that they knocked off Colombia. That was probably, the top 4, within, to win it all, pick to win it all. So, I mean, it was absolutely incredible. I still think about it, every time we talk about World Cups, that always pops into my head.
Sure.
I love it. All right, so let's fast forward then. So you get through the group, and then you face Brazil, right? And you must be thinking, like, I mean, some of these, as we're talking through this, what I'm thinking in my head is, for our listeners, that we have so many new people to soccer that listen to this show. Please go back, Google the highlights, watch everything that happens. So now you're facing Brazil, and Google these guys: Dunga, Bebeto, Romario. I remember that guy. Like, what are you guys feeling going into that? And how are you thinking, how do we actually win this game? Right?
Yeah, look, I'll be frank with you. You think, how are we going to do it? This is Brazil, because even though there's, like, people that don't watch soccer, trust me, they know Brazil.
Yeah.
Especially at that time,
soccer.
right? Like, at that time, they were like this enigma. Like,
exactly, the infamous yellow jerseys. When they come out, it's like, step out on the field with the yellow jerseys, you win. That's
Totally.
exactly what it was like. So for us, I think Bora actually did a good job of reminding us that we weren't supposed to be Colombia, that we weren't supposed to be through to the next round. That we were a team that had low expectations from everybody, that we had already exceeded them. And hey, why not shock everybody even more and take it one more level? That's what it was all about, going up against Brazil. I mean, it was a little bit of an honor to be able to step on the field in a World Cup against Brazil as a young soccer player. You're just like, wow, this is, for myself, I'm just like, wow. I mean, this is an overwhelming moment. I'm going up against Brazil, and I can tell you this: one of the indelible memories for me was walking out at Stanford Stadium, and two things. The first part of, how we all line up, right? And we were lined up first, of course, because Brazil's Brazil, and they're waiting, they're letting us get out there first. And they come walking out, and I see Romario, Bebeto, and they are all holding hands. I don't know if anybody remembers this.
Yep.
They had a certain way of coming out where they held hands and walked out onto the pitch. And I still remember that was just so cool. It showed what a team and a unit that they were, and I was just like, damn, Romario, Bebeto. And for me as well, I was like, you know what, is, big names, but they're the same size as me, I was like, all right, we can do this. We can do this. What's to be afraid of,
That's
here.
awesome.
But walking out of that tunnel and then onto the pitch, I was completely shocked and I was surprised, because I saw the thousands and thousands of Brazilians and the sambas and the girls in the big headdresses, and bikinis, in the stands. You see that, but I saw thousands of fans and flags and painted faces in the stadium that overwhelmed the Brazilian crowd. And that to me was a impactful moment where I also said, we've done it. For the sport. I was like, people have bought in. They want to see the US team play. Not like we had seen before, where if a country's coming, the US fans would come up in I came here because I wanted to see Brazil. They wanted to see us play. They were dressed up, red, white, and blue, head to toe. It was fantastic.
It's so interesting about that game. One of the I got a chance to be teammates and friends with Tab Ramos years later on the Metro Stars. One of the most horrific injuries I've ever seen on a football pitch was when Leonardo elbowed him, and obviously, he had a really, really cracked skull, essentially. Did that in the game, sort of anecdotally, did that have what type of effect did that have on you as a team when you see your teammate sort of writhing in pain on the floor?
Yeah, it does take you out of the moment, for a bit, and you have a concern for him, and everybody had a concern for Tab as he's, like you said, writhing in pain and grabbing his head, and no one knowing what happened, knowing exactly what happened and how he's going to be, and seeing him being taken off and, ending up going to the hospital. It's absolutely tragic. And after that, you've got to figure out a way. Okay, let's get back into it. How do you get back into the game, and figure it out, how to see out the rest of this match. I mean, there's fear for him, but anger at the opponent, Leonardo, but also you've got to come back and say, shoot, we've got a game to play
in the moment.
We're in the moment.
The interesting thing, LD, when I look at sort of with the World Cup coming in, it almost in a great way, we look back at '94, and then as you sort of work through it, I don't know if LD, we all give the '94 team enough credit. Here's why. We give them credit for being trailblazers, right? We give them credit for being at the forefront, and great job to these young kids. But if you really break it down, if any U.S. team, and I know, Landon, you both were a part of a brilliant run in 2002, but if any U.S. team gets through their group and valiantly bows out to the eventual World Cup winner 1-0 in a brilliant game, we would say, hats off to you. That's look, we wanted more, but Jesus, well done. That's a really good run. But I don't think we say that about this '94 team. I think we say,
Tim, Cobi said it. They're a bunch of college kids too.
Yeah,
like these were not like hardened professionals.
Yep,
they're playing against some of the best players in the world.
Yeah, really,
it's phenomenal.
Really,
CJ, how did that experience? Let's talk bigger picture now. How did that whole experience change your life? Because Tim and I talk a lot about moments that, like, the Algeria goal changed my life. His Belgium game changed his life. How does that experience change your life? How did it?
In what way? What way are you talking about
Just
change
in
my life?
general, I mean, like,
Mm,
professionally,
okay,
personally,
okay.
obviously now people are recognizing you more,
Yeah.
everything. It all changes, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now I didn't have to sit and coach very much, right after that. How's that?
That's
Good
right.
Hey,
point.
hey, hey, let me upgrade you. Like
That's right.
got a lot of upgrades,
Yeah.
Yeah.
after that point. But yeah, there is a definite, recognition like crazy. And especially for myself and Alexi, and probably Tony as well. Like we got a lot of recognition, a lot of interviews, and a lot of things outside of the game outside of soccer started paying attention, you know, to me and the entirety of the group. So that was probably one of the big changes. And then, it's a little different. You have to remember for that era, we were still looking for teams. We were looking for teams, to play on. There was no MLS. There was no,
Right.
a lot
Right.
of us were on professional teams. So that those were the moments where we were able to show ourselves internationally and teams were able to come in and they, picked us up, myself going to England, Lexi going to Italy, and then other players moving about. That was probably the biggest thing because we could actually start our professional soccer career. Because one thing that a lot of people don't know, for myself, after the 94 World Cup, I was planning to go back to UCLA and finish up school.
That's amazing.
Can't even
Well,
believe you
listen,
said that.
but Cobi,
It's
there's people
crazy.
that we have amazing listeners, and some of those listeners have picked up this sport at different places. I
Yeah.
want everybody listening to go back to something Cobi just said 10 seconds ago. They have this World Cup, and the
It's
MLS as
amazing.
we know it, and we love it, did not exist.
Right.
It was in plans to exist. It did not
Yep.
exist. Like that
It's
is
a bit like the Olympics, honestly, as we're watching it now. It's like these people, you don't hear about them, see them, and then they go back and they're like a teacher, a school teacher.
Yeah.
Like they're just
Yep.
working or they're going back to college. It's insane. Let's now move forward to this World Cup. How do you think it will compare, I guess, off the field? What are your hopes and expectations having been through it? What, not advice to give these guys, but what would you want them to take away from this and remember having been through it?
I really want them, and I'm sure you guys will appreciate it, is to really embrace the moment. And I know that's cliche, but it's so true because it does go so fast, and you realize it's over, and you remember that uh, the World Cups are going to be some of the highlights of your professional career as far as those good memories and those good moments. I would say not just the stuff that happens on the field, but just what happens with the guys during the World Cup, the relationships that you create and firm up during those times. Enjoy all of that, and understand, and another level, understand what could possibly come your way. Because these players, look, they're making a ton of money now, overseas. They don't have to do, a lot of them won't have to do anything else for the rest of their lives if they don't want to. But this can be a seminal moment for a lot of them where they can make themselves household names within the United States, a country where soccer isn't the first and foremost. I always give this example. Look at the fact that, geez, what is it, 30 years later? Myself, Alexi, Tony, Ronaldo, a lot of us are still known more so from that 94 World Cup than from MLS or any of the other World Cups or a lot of other things that we've done. So for these guys now, you have the chance to make a mark for yourself and open up doors. Actually, not even open up a door, smash down a door so it's completely wide open for you for whatever you want to do for the rest of your life.
Mm,
Yeah, it's so
well
I
said.
mean, it's so very well said, Cobi, because we've talked about a lot, Landon and I, but I truly believe this. The watershed moment for Soccer America was what you talked about on the show, 94, those games. I truly believe, and we've seen a lot since then. This, given the money that's going to be involved and the eyeballs that are going to be on us, this could take Soccer America to another level. It will. It'll jump us to another level, and that's been sort of swelling and coming. It's interesting because when you something you said about being, these guys being present, being in the moment, and that's something I hope for them as well, because I've been a part of World Cup teams pre-social media and post-social media, and pre-social media for me was Germany 2006, right? And so you're there and you're locked in, and then you get 2010 is sort of the rise of that, and then 2014 you're well into social media and all the different platforms, and it's really easy to get lost. And I think it's important for them to find a balance during the tournament to be able to say, like, this is important. Of course, we're going to check our social media accounts, and we're going to do all the things that sponsors want, but ultimately, like being at a World Cup and succeeding is everything. I think that's a really good point. One of the things that we talk about this team, Landon and I, our fans want to hear about U.S. men's soccer team more than anything, and we talk about and dissect it. Sort of when you look at this team, Cobi, and project out on what you think the team's going to look like, what most excites you about this current crop of players?
Well, I think I don't think we've had a better group of players that has this type of experience of playing at the highest levels.
Yeah.
I mean, even before in your guys' area, it was probably 5 or 6 guys, 4 or 5 guys that were playing at top teams.
Yeah.
Now the majority of these guys are at top teams.
Mm-hmm.
So along with that comes expectations,
Sure.
as well, so I'm looking at this team and just going, man, they've got everything before them. And I want to see this team come together as a group. And I know a lot of us, and I think the biggest job for them is going to be finding that mix of the skill level that they obviously have, but also the grit, so to speak. And I don't mean that they don't have it. What I mean by that is that you've got to find a way that it gels together and works together with your skill level. That's it, because you're going to be coming up against some, it's a World Cup. It could be a team from anywhere. You never know. There could be teams that are just going solely on grit and determination and don't have the skill, like our '94 team. We were just fighting. We just fight. And look, you can get shocked. Look at Colombia. That's it. So you've got to be ready, and you've got to be able to put it together. That's my big want for them, is that they can put the grit and the skill together, at the right time, and figure out when they need which more. Because sometimes you just want to see the guys go out and just go, you know what? You're playing, I won't say names of teams, but you're playing such and such a team. You don't have to be skillful. Just go out there and run over them. Just be out physical. Just outplay them. Just outfight them, and you'll get the victory. So it's about just understanding and recognizing all of that.
Our best teams, as you say that, it's such a great point. Our best teams over the years, as I think through my national team career, had some very talented players, like just very skillful, the Claudios, John O'Brien, Wolfie in his own way, like just really talented, skillful yourself. But then there was Frankie Hayduck, there was Goose, there was like guys who just worked and ran, and Ernie was certainly talented, but could just Pablo and guys like that who just grinded. And so it's an interesting point, because a lot of times fans will watch and go, well, these are the best 11 guys. I want them on the field together. And it's like, okay, but maybe, I'm throwing it out, maybe Christian Roldan helps you win more, right? Like maybe Aiden Morris is a guy who just helps you win more, right? And so it's a really interesting thing. And that mix you guys had in '94, you still had some talented, good players. I mean, Ronaldo's goal is world class, right? So it's a really interesting point. CJ, before we get you out of here, at the end, I have a comment I want to make and thank you for, but can we talk just quickly about the Galaxy? And you're around the team a lot. There's almost nobody better equipped to speak about them. By the way, you've had over 300 appearances for the Galaxy in addition to all the games with you. It's insane.
Amazing.
So last year, it felt like this is how sports work psychologically. So in 2024, they win the championship. Last year, you get a pass basically because you won a championship, and also because Ricky Puig is injured.
Mhm.
Now Ricky Puig injured again, out for the year. What are the expectations now? I said last week, I think this will be Greg Vanney's most challenging coaching job because he has to now turn this team into something different. Because when Ricky Puig is on the field, he runs everything, and you want him to, and you can win that way. So now, how do you view this team? Do you agree with that statement about Greg? And how do you anticipate they'll change, because he has to now, because it clearly didn't work last year?
Yeah, I think I would agree with the statement. This is going to be the most challenging because it was a build up, to the end of season, or actually until, what was it, end of December. You were expecting Ricky Puig to be there,
Mhm. Right.
So now all of a
Right.
sudden he's not. It's a challenge for the whole organization, for Will Kuntz. Okay, who are we going to get in? What type of changes are we going to make? You're not going to have a Ricky Puig that is that X factor. I mean,
He's
let's
a
be
cheat
frank.
code. He just
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
you out of
exactly.
problems.
You can
right?
say, "Hey, Ricky, do this," and he's going to be, "No, I'm going to do this," and you're just like, "Okay, that's fine."
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
He knows how to do it and work it and make things happen. But now that he's not here, it's like, what are you going to do? I think the Galaxy has made some good additions,
Yeah.
to the team. I think if you look back at last year, they definitely struggle on the defensive side. So bringing Glesnes in, Jakob Glesnes, and then also Justin Hack, I think those two are really going to help shore things up. Because if you guys look at some of the Galaxy games last year, how many games were there where you're just like, oh, Galaxy's up 1-0, 10 minutes left, they got this, boom, a random goal, or it could be just like, oh, it's 0-0 or it's 2-2, and it would be like, oh, they kicked the ball off their own player that lobbed over their own keeper into the back of the net. There was a lot of that happening last year. So I think shoring up things defensively will squash all of that. That will help. And then the addition, of someone like a Eric Tommy, that's coming into the midfield. I think that's a veteran leadership that can kind of help. He's not a replacement, for a Ricky Puig, but I think he gives like more solidity in that midfield area. And as kind of like you said before, we know the midfield that's probably the most important part on the field, because you're doing the offense and the defense. So I think he's going to be a great addition, to the team, because he'll allow the pecs to just go up and down and do what's necessary. For Greg, it's about getting, I think, all these names working together, because there are a lot of additions.
Right.
And we all know getting 4 or 5 new players, and then probably some younger players and players playing in different positions, that's the challenge.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. I always say, look, we all know how to play the game. We know what we're supposed to do, but it's managing the personalities is probably the most important thing that a coach can do. And I think that's going to be the big challenge, for Greg.
It's interesting you say that, because I have a theory that gets proven right every season, that MLS isn't a good attacking league. It's a horrific defensive league. and there's a couple of teams,
So
probably
true.
4 or 5 teams that have like a really good attack, really good attack. But then so then it sort of morphs into like, this is an attacking league. And then when what you said about defensive, we start dissecting MLS games, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all agree on that. I think we agree on sort of you two are staples of the Galaxy history, and I always lean on Landon for sort of that insight. But it's going to be an interesting year. I mean, the Ricky Puig absence, they have to have it. One of the things Landon always tells me about the fan base is like they are demanding, and they you might get a pass a little bit, but it doesn't last long. So it's going to be a really interesting season for the Galaxy.
Welcome to LA.
Exactly
Yeah, that's
right. Exactly
Fair
right.
weather. Well, CJ, my last thing, and just a comment. We get a lot of younger kids who listen, 10-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and we get a lot of questions from fans when we do events. And what advice do you have? It's really interesting because I have children and they all play soccer, and they go to practice or they go online and they see, all these tricks and these step overs and all these things, and they're trying to do all these things. And I'm constantly telling them, especially my older son, he's very athletic. He can just run by people, but he wants to do all that. And I say, Talon, just kick it by him and run. You don't have to get all cute and whatever. And you were much more skilled in that. But if people go back, and I urge you guys to go back and just watch Cobi highlights on the right wing, and I learned so much of this watching you. You get it on your left foot and you drag it a little, drag it a little, drag it until you got the defender off balance, and then you'd push it by him and you outran him, and you got by him and you either crossed it or you dribbled in and you shot and whatever. You didn't do all this little tricky stuff and whatever. You didn't have to. And if you have something like that, and I remember it in my pro career, I'd always go, I have all that in my locker to some extent, but why? If I can push it by the guy and beat him, just go do that. And so I just want to thank you for that, because that is an example that I think all the young kids watching, go back and watch. And everybody knew what you were going to do, and you still did it successfully, right? And I'm grateful for that, and I teach my kids that. So thank you.
And Cobi, from me, I thank you for our friendship, but honestly, I thank you for all the stories that you've told, and for who you are as a person and as a footballer, because it's real. We're not here dreaming the dreams that we were able to dream as young kids. If it wasn't for you. So
that's right,
man. In the history of U.S. soccer, we appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. It means a lot.
Congrats again on the statue, but I'll see you in April.
All right, LD, it's time for the Unfiltered Refresh, sponsored by Coors Light. Choose chill. Get Coors Light delivered. Go to CoorsLight.com/USLNT. All right, this is a special one. James Milner chose chill. Tell us why.
Chose chill for a long time now. Back in 2002, when I was running around a World Cup field, he was starting his debut as a 16-year-old playing for Leeds. He just had his 654th appearance in the Premier League. That breaks Gareth Barry's record for appearances. He started for Brighton in their 2-1 win over Brentford. When this came up, like when Andrew put this in, I'm like, he's still playing? It's one of those where you're like, there's no way he's still playing. So just a phenomenal career. Think about 654 games. I mean, I think in all of my combined national team, et cetera, I'm not sure I got to that number, and he's done it in the Premier League. So it's just been phenomenal.
You know what's interesting about that? Right before we were coming on, I was like, I had someone check how many Premier League appearances I had. I knew I was stuck on 399, which is amazing. But like 400 games, and LD, I played every game humanly possible. Like humanly possible. And he's like 200 some odd more than me. I played against James Milner, I think, in the early Leeds days. I definitely played against him for City, Villa, Liverpool. I mean, it's remarkable. It's remarkable to keep yourself that fit, that motivated, to have that many people think you're good enough to have around the like. By the way, it's not the same player he was.
No,
but he obviously is doing
adapt.
so many good things within a football club that Brighton said, "Yeah, come to us. We want to give you a home." And by
the way, he started the game. It's not like he's coming on for 5 minutes at the end of every game.
Totally. And he broke Gaz Barry's record. I played with Gaz Barry and at Everton, and again, I think these longevity records are the ones that astound me. Anyone can have. To me,
they're the most impressive.
Yeah, anyone can. They
are of anything.
They're incredible.
That's right. Yeah. All right. So Andrew asked us to. Milner's one of 4 Premier Leaguers with 600 plus Premier League appearances. The one he broke is Gareth Barry. Can you name the other 2? I think one was wasn't there an Arsenal center back? Was it Tony Adams or something?
Maybe.
I think he had a gazillion.
I'm bummed out that I'm not going to get this. The other one, it's going to be a.
Could it be a goalkeeper? He just played every game forever.
Is it Frank Lampard?
Okay, not a goalkeeper.
I don't know.
Lampard, 609. Good shout.
I'm happy about that. That I got that.
Okay, and who did I say? Tony Adams? Probably not. What about Stevie Gerrard?
No. I'm gonna say no.
Not Gerrard.
So it's Lampard, Gareth Barry, James Milner.
It's got to be like a center back.
One more. It's got to be. Did you say John Terry? No, John Terry didn't make that.
You were teammates at one point with the last one, Tim.
You were teammates. Oh, Ryan Giggs.
Giggsy, 632. All right. Well, to all of them.
I did well.
but especially James Milner. Cheers to you for choosing chill on a phenomenal career, and keep going.
Well done, James.
It's Stoppage Time, sponsored by FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $100 in bonus bets if you win. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. All right, we're getting into the meaty part of the season now in the Premier League. Midweek games coming. Aston Villa, Chelsea. Fantastic game. Both teams trying to get into Champions League spots for next season. And both teams also have some really tough games coming up towards the end of the season. So this is a big chance for them to propel their season. In the end, I think the honors are even. I think this ends up a tie. Both teams have a lot of quality. I do think both teams will score, but I think it stays under the 2.5 goals. So the only way that can all happen, if both teams score and they stand under 2.5, is a 1-1 draw. I think João Pedro, who's been in fantastic form, gets on the score sheet again. So Unfiltered Soccer's EPL same game parlay this week is a draw, under 2.5 goals. Both teams will score, meaning it's going to end 1-1, and João Pedro will get on the score sheet again. Don't forget to check out the full list of Unfiltered Soccer's same game parlays on our socials later this week. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we will get into all of your questions in the AT&T Fan Connection right here on Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, as always, presented by Volkswagen.
This episode is brought to you by Airbnb.
Yeah, Tim, soccer's back in this country this summer and in a big, big way. And along with it comes all of these amazing away fans who provide the energy and excitement around the game that we love.
That's exactly right. Hosting your home on Airbnb provides visiting sports fans, number one, the ability to stay close to the event and the action, but also experience the city. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. LD, we got a big year coming up, man. Huge year. Obviously the run into the Premier League title, MLS starting back up. There's a big, big summer of soccer going on. You and I are going to say that we'd be busy, or we're going to be busy, is probably an understatement. It's going to be chaos.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be here, there, and everywhere. I know you and I will find the time. I'm going to have to find lots of time to choose chill between crossing the country, being on all these different flights. You'll catch me in the airport, pulling it up to the bar, having a Coors Light. And then, to be honest, in my off time, I'll be at the beach. Literally any single moment, LD, that I'm not doing something for the World Cup, which is not a lot of days, but I will be at the beach and I will have a cooler full of Coors Light.
Yeah, I mean, it's already started. As you know, I was in Vail this weekend, in the heart of the Rockies, by the way, doing an appearance. And we're going to be traveling a lot. We're going to be seeing each other a lot. We're going to be meeting a lot of fans and people, and we want to take advantage of it and enjoy it. But I keep reminding myself, I told my wife last night, like, we got to find ways to chill and choose chill so that I can stay energized, refreshed. It's going to be few and far between, but if we don't, we're going to have some problems. So thankfully we can choose chill, grab a Coors Light, relax, and make sure we're staying refreshed.
And when you embrace a chill mindset this year, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Choose chill from the start and reach for a Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/UFS, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer.
Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
There's nothing better than feeling like someone has your back and that things are going to get done even without you having to ask. Like your crisp new jersey waiting for you in the locker room, or a perfectly set up wall for a free kick.
Yeah, as we on Unfiltered Soccer get ready for next summer, we know that very little in the beautiful game is guaranteed. But as we prepare to bring our unfiltered brand of nonstop soccer coverage, it's good to know AT&T has your back with the AT&T Guarantee.
Staying connected matters. That's why in the rare event of a network outage, AT&T will proactively credit you for a full day of service. That's the AT&T Guarantee.
Learn more at att.com/guarantee. AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Credit for fiber downtime lasting 20 minutes or more, or a wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers. Must be connected to impacted towers at onset of outage. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for full details. It's time for the Fan Connection presented by AT&T. Every week we invite you, the listener, to connect with us by submitting your questions. At AT&T, connecting changes everything. And on USMNT, our connections with you will help grow the game. Okay, LD, time now for the AT&T Fan Connection, everyone's favorite time of the week. Also because we get to banter with Jordan. Jordan, how are you?
I'm swell. Thanks so much for asking.
Of course.
Hello, JR.
Hello. I know last week we had a lot more comments than questions, so this week we have more questions than comments. So
Okay.
A lot of people like to comment versus ask questions.
yeah, these are pretty good though.
People like to hear themselves talk, and that's why we have a podcast.
This first one
That's
is
true.
a little bit of both, but there's definitely a question in here.
Okay.
Simon asked via email, I don't know about you, but I hate knowing the score of a game before I watch it. With so many MLS games being played at the same time, and as a season ticket holder to my club, sometimes I want to watch a game after it's been played, and Apple TV insists on having the score posted on the menu. Why do they do this? Can JR call someone to stop this nonsense? Does anyone agree with me?
No. So here's
That's not
how-
true, Tim, because there
here-
are people who work on the show who are very
No,
angry
you
about
don't
this, too.
agree, or no, you can't call someone.
She can't call anybody at Apple.
No, I can't. I have no power.
All I'm saying is everybody just needs to grow up. We don't get to, in this day and age, we do not get to go, there was a game I wanted to watch and I need everybody to be quiet. I need to not check my phone. I need to have headphones on. You get one game. If it conflicts, pick the better one. That's it. That's it. You don't get to watch games anymore sort of on pause or pre-recorded or go
No,
into
it is impossible.
It's impossible.
It's
can't.
impossible.
No longer does that exist. So
You have to, you literally have to turn your phone off,
Mhm.
put it somewhere, not talk to any human, and then that's the only way.
if you're old like me and you, LD, there was a time where you could take in your VCR, you recorded a game.
Yep.
And then when you would come home, obviously there was no internet. You literally have a VCR tape and you're like, the game's on here. I'll rewind it to the beginning and I'll watch it. But now you got no chance, bro.
I'll
You
go
got no
further
chance.
than that. My dad used to show up at our school. He was the school electrician or for the district. He would show up and like knock on my room door and like peek in, and he would bring me a Hockey Weekly or Hockey Monthly or something magazine. You didn't know the scores.
Yeah.
Who had scored, whatever. Like you got an updated list. And the same with the newspaper. You didn't know the scores till the next morning.
Totally.
You had no idea.
Zero sympathy.
No sympathy, pal.
Simon, I'm on your side because there is literally no reason why it needs to be on the menu for the games. I'm sorry.
Actually,
but
to be fair,
that
they
doesn't
don't
need
have
to
to put
happen.
the score right there.
But you're still
But
Just
I
put
will
the game.
say, Jordan, many times I click in because of what the score is.
This is what Google is for. Oh,
No,
you're
but-
saying like that's attracting you to watch a game.
Correct. So if
because
it's
of
like
what the
Inter
score is.
Miami's losing 2-1 at home in the 80th minute, I'm like, oh, I want to watch this. Like, get your
Fair point.
popcorn. Let's go.
It's a fair
That's
point.
true.
All right. Sorry, Simon. Sorry, mate.
But we can call someone at Apple if you'd like in MLS.
Okay. We'll just get on the phone with Don Garber and see if he can take care of that.
Yeah. Can you just take the toggle off the top, Don?
Yeah.
Cheers.
This next question is from Joel via email. He says, Funko, a company that makes pop culture collectible figures, has released a limited set of 5 U.S. men's national team figures. The lineup includes Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Anthony Robinson, and Gio Reyna. I understand they want to make things they think people will buy, but do you think he is the 5th most popular U.S. men's national team player?
He's the 5th most popular on this podcast. We talk about him all the time. Hang on, I'm on Funko as we go. I'm typed in Funko toy company. I'm looking for Landon, Donovan, Tim Howard. Never mind those guys.
Mm-hmm. Don't exist.
Don't exist.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I think that the long
But
and
like,
short of
they obviously do their research and the marketing, and like that's what I guess people want. So how do you? I don't know. You can determine most popular data wise, right?
Maybe we
Yeah.
should pull some data about how often we talk about certain U.S. men's national team players on this podcast.
yo.
Or Galaxy players like Ricky Puig.
I'm on this Funko thing. I went left. God,
You're having no fun.
I'm on this Funko thing, and I've seen these before, and then all of a sudden there's a Tribe Called Quest action figures. That's getting ordered. right, as we speak.
What is
Add-
this? Is it
add to
they
cart.
have memorabilia and stuff?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
little
they're like
figurines.
little figures.
seen
That's
yeah.
cool.
Definitely.
I haven't seen. I don't know.
Definitely. I'm
Are
literally
we getting paid to plug Funko, by the way?
No.
No.
But make
All right.
make us some figurines, Funko.
There you go.
Um,
Funko,
Well,
you
I
listening?
also think that it's entirely possible, Joel, that when the World Cup is over, there'll be some different U.S. men's national team Funkos because if
Very
people
true.
have,
Chris
really,
Richards might be on there.
that's right.
wait. Sorry, hang on.
Yeah.
Flo
Yes.
Balogun.
Landon,
Yes.
I told you I went left, so you both are gonna have to deal with this.
Oh, Jesus.
A Tribe Called Quest. Do you know who they are?
It's a music group, I think.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. Can you name 2 of the 4?
No. Can't name any of them.
That's disappointing.
Wu-Tang.
Are you surprised, Tim?
What do you mean Wu-Tang? What's that got to do with anything?
Is that one of them?
Are you taking the piss?
Can you
Is
name
Wu-Tang- is
members
Wu-Tang-
of Wu-Tang?
Will I Am.
No, you got to be able to
have
name.
to
Wu-
name
all right, move to Wu-Tang. Give me 2 Wu-Tang Clan members.
What was the woman's name
You're-
in
you're
the
avoiding.
Will I Am
You're
group?
Fergie.
You're avoiding me.
Fergie.
For
Fergie.
delicious definition.
I have
Yeah.
no idea who Tribe Called Quest. No idea.
All right.
Can
Method
you name
Man
2 of
and
them?
Red Man.
Can I?
Oh, I
what?
remember Method Man. I remember Method
That's
Man.
Wu-Tang though.
Oh.
Yes, Phife Dawg, Q-Tip, Ali Shaheed Muhammad, Jerobi. Never mind. We
Okay, we have to move on. We're moving on.
Put your phone away, please.
It's on.
Michael has a question via email. What are your thoughts on the true differences between USL and MLS teams? Over the last few years, we have seen MLS teams lose to USL teams. Now it seems to be more and more commonplace. Is this because USL is leveling up, or are MLS teams just overlooking USL? And show some love for Union Omaha, who just keep winning. 2-time USL League One champions and defeated 2 MLS teams in 2022.
Landon and I have very strong opinions on this because we've both been in USL. So I think there's a snobbery in MLS when it comes to roster building, that for various reasons. But if you looked at the top, I don't know, Landon, the top 10 best players in the USL, right? Top 10 best players in the USL. They can absolutely 100% compete within an MLS roster. 1,000%. Right? You're often also getting a guy who's got a ton of games under his belt. Right? Who's because they were the best player, they want to take the ball. They want to be in the thick of it. And by the way, because we both know this, they're making a lot of money. So they're easily attainable, and they're just not, because there's a snobbery around MLS and the way that certain GMs build rosters. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think USL is certainly getting better. I don't think it's the other way around.
The challenge is the amount being spent on USL players versus over the last 5 or 10 years, the amount of increase versus the increase in MLS is not similar. Like the amount of money MLS teams spend now, I mean, they're going to spend $20+ million to acquire Josh Sargent in Toronto. An MLS or a USL top striker is making $150,000, right? And so certainly on the attacking end of the field, USL cannot compare even remotely close. Now, everywhere else around the field, there are a lot of guys who could fill out MLS rosters. A lot. Could they start? Some games, but they could absolutely be on rosters. But most guys realize at the end of their career or middle of their career, like, I just want to play soccer, make good money, and enjoy my life versus being the 27th guy on Sporting Kansas City and never see the field.
Right, but they're not always at the end of their career is what I'm saying. Some of these guys are just overlooked from the jump.
That's true. And to be honest, if I were an MLS club and I'm building out my roster, and look, there's lots of reasons why they don't. They decide and choose to fill it out with lots of young 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds who have potential to do whatever, and that's fair. But if I were building out a club that you really want to compete and have 23, 25 really good players, having number 24 and 25 being a guy with 180 games in USL who's 25 or 26, I think is really smart because it also makes training way better.
Right, but the worst kept secret in MLS, LD, and now you want to talk about soapbox. Who overall? What what teams are producing young talent?
None.
Who's
Philly, maybe.
Philly sells a couple players. Overall,
Yeah,
we're
you're
not
right.
selling young talent. And by the way, when you take a
It's
16,
true.
17-year-old and you nurture them, they're on the next plane in 3 years, 4 years when they don't pan out. And you're like,
Yeah.
I think it's a little bullshit.
Yeah.
MLS teams are saying, "Oh, we're producing." You're not. So my
I agree
point
with that.
is,
I agree with that.
the production is happening. When I was in USL in the thick of it, I'm watching these players, and like I said to you, these are players who are leaders, who are demanding, who aren't afraid of big moments. They already are in the developmental process,
Yeah.
and they're way better than your 17, 18-year-old that's not going to pan out. And and anybody who wants to tell me differently is crazy.
Yeah.
All these teams that want to develop players and sell them, where is it? Where's the proof? Give me the receipts.
Well, truth is too, when you talk to owners, Tim, they're fed up with they're fed up with the academy
Correct.
stuff and the MLS Next Pro stuff.
Yeah, because they're
They
pumping
are.
money into it.
They're pumping
money
tons of money,
and not getting return on investment.
nobody can tell me, you cannot tell me that it's better right now for a player to be playing MLS Next Pro than playing in front of 7,000 people in New Mexico with real players, real fans who are,
Right.
players who are fighting for their livelihood. Totally agree.
And it's exactly why when you go all the way back to Arsene Wenger and you look at a Jack Wilshere.
Yeah.
He was this wonderful youth player, and he went, right, pack your bags, go up to Bolton. And anybody who's ever not been to Bolton, don't go. And his point was,
Yep.
you're going to learn.
Yep.
You're
They
gonna
do it all
apply your
over
trade.
England. It's so prevalent.
It's perfect, right? 'Cause the
Every
system's
year,
set.
Lincoln City gets 3, 4, 5, 6 players that are on Premier League rosters. They're
Yeah.
18, 19, and they need to learn how to be a pro.
That's how it should be, LD.
That's right. Not playing in a reserve league, but anyway.
I do just want to point out that on last week's episode, you guys were talking about Michael Bradley starting 3 teenagers
Yeah.
in the opening MLS game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you
No,
think
fair
that
play. So if you want, Jordan, if you're really about that and you're putting $3, $4, $5 million a year into your academy and a couple $1 million into MLS Next Pro, you better play these players. And the owners are starting to say that. They're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why
And
am I
Phil-
throwing away $5 million?
And look, when we talk about this sort of overarching issue, are there exceptions? Yeah.
Of course,
Phillies
of
are
course.
an exception. Red Bull, sort of the way that they operate their global football.
Yeah.
Plan
Dallas sometimes.
is
Right.
different, but
Mhm.
but overall, no,
Right.
no, it's not how it is.
Okay, that's it from me.
Love it.
Thank you, JR.
We've seen you right off.
Bender right off. Thanks, guys. Another great show. A very special thank you to CJ, Cobi Jones, guy I idolized growing up, and just so great to have him on the show. Remember, as always, to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your pods, and follow us at Unfiltered Soccer on social media. Thank you, as always, to our amazing presenting sponsor, VW, our Fan Connection sponsor, AT&T, and our Stoppage Time sponsor, FanDuel.
Thank you also to our Unfiltered Refresh sponsor, Coors Light, and our additional sponsors, Airbnb and Walmart. Have an amazing week. We'll be back next Tuesday with another edition of Unfiltered Soccer.